Hello viewers, my name is Adam and this is Seeking Me Productions bringing you another video game review. And I'll be reviewing The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. This is the direct sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, a launch title from the Nintendo Switch back in 2017. And across the board, for many outlets, Breath of the Wild was Game of the Year. And it was very understandably so. I was kind of late to the game, about 2 years when I was able to actually hold on and actually play Breath of the Wild. And I do see a lot of the appeal to that game, and I thought that was great. Though there were some elements that were quite lacking for it to be even better that I thought that could have been. Still, with Tears of the Kingdom, a highly anticipated title at the time, it still had a lot to make up for. The sequel been kept on being delayed, and here's the thing: I'd rather a game be delayed and actually finish it with polishing up what can be done. So, of all this anticipation, how does Tears of the Kingdom stack up against its predecessor? So, right off the bat, this takes place roughly around 5 years later since Breath of the Wild ended. Link and Zelda are reunited, so they go scavenging across the Hyrule Kingdom, or the Hyrule Castle. Remember that Breath of the Wild chronologically is officially the next main title in this long series of reinvented Hyrule stories. And they come across the ruins of the old castle after the calamity fell upon in Breath of the Wild. But upon doing so, they actually come across the actual living mummification body of Ganondorf, also known as Demon King. And with some activization, they actually awaken Ganondorf and thrust him upon another era of calamity on Hyrule. This time of creating a series of climate disasters across the land and basically separating the two yet again and search of. So Link will have to find Princess Zelda, but this time is not that easy. Given the fact that during the course of this game, Link notices that Zelda is lost in time. She has traveled to the past, and so we come across these tears of these mystical tears that give us gateways into what Zelda's life was like during this ancient time period of this iteration of Hyrule, where we come across the first king of Hyrule in this era, King Rauru. Link himself, and during this time gap of another 5 years, awakens yet this time in like the ruins of a sky kingdom, and thus he also loses an arm. And this arm is replaced with the mummified arm of King Rauru himself, and thus granting Link new found abilities. And so the game is yet again Link having to find Zelda, but also officially take down Ganondorf. As Link come across the many sightings of Zelda, and we're exploring the new disastrous land of Hyrule, the 5-year period actually brought a lot of change prior to the events that leads into this game, where we notice that Zelda, when she was found after Breath of the Wild, that she has been really like stepping up the world and society of the many areas in the Hyrule Kingdom, where we see a lot of the land has changed drastically, and also the political landscape. You'll see that much of the economics of the world has changed a lot in this new era. Essentially, like there's multiple forms of inflation during the cost of the world changing. Not a lot. A lot has changed as far as getting what you need. The hierarchy of leadership. We essentially see Breath of the Wild Next Generation, with much of the younger royal members of the different factions of Hyrule stepping up their game and actually taking charge in those areas. And they actually play a lot more engagement into the plot itself and also in the gameplay. Now, even though the direct sequel, much of the, I'll say, basic gameplay from Breath of the Wild still retains. It's still an open world style action adventure game with you traveling across the land of Hyrule in its many areas. The very simple sword or handheld combat is still in play. You're still able to fire arrows, essentially basically the same way which you were able to do. Horseback riding, another basic form of traversal, and so on. The weather effects are a mainstay, so a lot of the core elements from Breath of the Wild is still intact. But there's also a lot of revamping. A lot of the gameplay was reimagined to the point that Tears of the Kingdom is, like, even though it is narrative-wise, it's slightly a direct sequel, overall it's more like a requel or a little reboot, especially in terms of the new core elements of the gameplay. As we saw in Breath of the Wild, a lot of the main features revolved around the Shikai slate and the Shikai technology that was very prevalent. That is highly very muted and like almost non-existent in this game in this 5-year period, since the Shikai abilities that were from the previous games are altered or slightly or downward changed in favor of the new abilities from King Rao's Arm, from Ultra Hand, Fusion, Ascend, and also Schematic. Ultra Hand being an ability that allows you to basically build what you can from essentially any item or surface that you can practically get your hands on. Fusion is a very Fusion is like one of the another core ability in which most of the items that you kind of came across in Breath of the Wild is in a way separated in a way that which you had to literally fuse them together to create said items, particularly in the arrows department, as a lot of the new items that you come across are like something that you can combine to create the fire arrows, bomb arrows, or electric arrows that you would have already like had as their own type of item, but you had to like combine it with your regular arrows to make it but nearly infinite in the ways in which you can like fuse together things from the melee sword combat, fuse it with the monster parts, fuse it with the basically any type of cooking items and stuff. They have varying effects on the damage and defense that you when you play. Ascend is a very handy ability to traverse your way through, particularly in which the game will get out of very tight spaces. I really enjoy finding the new items that you come across and the variability ways in which you can use them. Like I said, when it came to the basically the new generation of royalty in the Hyrule Kingdom assisting you in an engaging way into the story, they also give upon their use of their abilities, similar to what the ancestors of those royalties did from Breath of the Wild. These people, the new generation, they also allow you to assist them, but they also, in certain parts of the story, they also assist you in person. So you have this form of NPC tag team gameplay that goes around at particular moments of the story. But also what we can say about the open world is also the expanded aspect of traversal. Yes, like I've previously said, horses was a primary way of getting around places. And the thing is, in this game, one of the carryovers from the Breath of the Wild is the mere fact that if transfer from the horses. So whatever horses you still had from the previous game, from the saved data, they carry over here. And the horses, they also evolve the way how you manage them with the Ultra Hand ability to create basically almost anything. Like you can create vehicles from cars to wagons, boats, from the new Zonai robots that goes around. The Zonai, which replaces the Shikai Guardians, they are like they come in many forms and mostly just robots parts that you can create weapons out of. But they also have they put to mainly use when you're come across and gather up a lot of the Zonai minerals that that are scattered throughout the land. And so the more Zonai minerals, you can convert them into like Zonai batteries or whatnot, and in which the batteries and the cells give you Zonai parts of different variety. But thing is, with the gameplay, there is elements from other past installments, like the more exploration into the dungeons. New caves are discovered across the world in which you can scavenge and finding treasure, and also discover new parts, particularly in the story and from the many NPCs. But when I say about the horses, the save data, it is a little bit ashamed how, despite how expansive the gameplay is, and the lack of carryover from even the abilities, and which from the past Guardians of Breath of the Wild are non-existent. Because if you play the DLC from Breath of the Wild, you basically like upgrade those abilities single-handedly each part, and the mere fact that this game kind of resets itself to the point that those abilities don't exist anymore, it's sad that all that progress wasn't carried over. But it's still, the game has so many ways of expansion and creativity to the point that it still makes for a solid experience. To even when the simplicity of the combat from the game from Breath of the Wild is still something prevalent here, the creativity and ways in which you are able to utilize the fusion or the creation of assist technology really helps in ways of how you're able to approach combat in a variety of ways. Presentation overall, is still, the game still utilizes the cell shaded anime-like graphics from Breath of the Wild. I particularly like. There's not necessarily much of a difference. There are slightly different lighting dynamics that like does boost up the visuals a bit, but it's virtually the same visual aesthetic. But the thing is that like the visual aesthetic is still kind of timeless, so there's not. I didn't find that much of a problem with the visual front. It's still a nice looking, beautiful game. With the expansion of the gameplay and the world, the level design in this like you can tell that despite the fact that this is a direct sequel, this game is completely built from the ground up, literally, from not just the surface of Hyrule changes in its many locales, but like I said, Link wakes up in the sky ruins of an ancient civilization. So that sky platforms is another level of exploration that basically is kind of endless in many ways, in which you can literally spend hours on a particular sky platform, but also you explore the depths beneath the Hyrule itself, which that takes up a lot more time to uncover, because the depths is a very dark and seedy environment that you literally have to light your way and create and like find new pathways. Something that is actually quite liked and that I like very much is the increased level of difficulty in this game. Items, despite how vast they are and the vast and expansive and as many they are, it's actually very difficult to come across certain ones that you kind of had a lot easier from Breath of the Wild. Like I said, the inflation of Hyrule is highly felt, so that scarcity of certain equipment makes it even a lot more tougher and more of a struggle, like a little bit more of a survival aspect to Breath of the Wild, to Tears of the Kingdom. A new level of threat. The gloom is populates a lot of the enemies here that creates that makes the combat even more of difficulty, or like a little more of a struggle, because it raises the defense and power of a lot of these enemy types. And in fact, it does affect your health very much so, because the gloom will really, like, it curses your health to the point that which that you can't, and you have to find a way to purify yourself, particularly with the new item of the Sundelions, or the light itself, the sun rays, that it can help you revitalize that aspect. Yeah, the music is still a very wonderful element into the gameplay, as well as the scenery level, very immersive in that front. Side missions are even more story oriented, especially when we see come across the many NPCs and how their lives have changed, for worse or the better, in this new era in Hyrule. I actually, like, you walk in, like, it's very best to take your time when exploring Tears of the Kingdom, because every corner can be a new engaging story side mission that helps gives you even more immersive to the world. Like before, is even more so that hours and hours of gameplay will benefit a lot in your time in Tears of the Kingdom. So despite the lack of carryover from certain core elements of Breath of the Wild into this game, this is a very step up from Breath of the Wild. Tears of the Kingdom is one amazing title that I can understand very more so that if this gets a Game of the Year nomination, or in fact win, is highly warranted. My name is Adam, and this has been a Seeking Media Productions. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And comment below, what is your favorite Zelda title? How do you feel about Tears of the Kingdom? And anything, and what's the future of how this franchise should evolve past this new, this little era of in the Nintendo Switch. Also, look at our social media outlets of Twitter, X, Facebook, and Instagram for content that we don't necessarily post on this channel due to the amount of time it does make to create videos on this platform. And see you again. My name is Adam, and this has been a Seeking Media Productions. See you.